This is a video about the hidden shadow psyche of Gen Z if you're Canadian or Gen Z if you're American. What do I mean by hidden shadow psyche? When I talk about hidden shadow psyche, I mean the parts of our minds that we don't want to look at unconsciously and the parts of our minds that we hide away from ourselves. So, what has Gen Z gone through? Well, in my previous video, I talked about how millennials went through two major phases, which is one before the internet was mainstream and one after the internet was mainstream. Gen Z, however you want to say it, is fully entrenched and enmeshed in the new age of the internet. Therefore, compared to other older generations, their life is more experienced, borderless, and more limitlessly. And this is compared to other older generations. Other older generations might look at them as people that live in the moment, unserious, unfocused, but lighthearted. So let's go over the shadow aspects of Gen Z or Gen Z, however you want to say it. The first point of the shadow aspect of Gen Z is they don't value themselves as much. Now, they're still very young, right? A lot of them are in their late teens and in their 20s. So a lot of us, including millennials, boomers, Gen Xers, when we were young, we didn't value ourselves as much as we thought we could have. Especially when we get older, we realize that. But I'm seeing that Gen Z is on another level in terms of not valuing themselves as much. They don't realize the impact they have on society right now. They don't realize the impact they have on society. They create the trends, they create the change through social media and through the internet currently. And I don't think they value how much they how much change and trends they push out onto the world currently. And I think this is due in fact to that they're still in their rebellious phase, right? When you're in your rebellious phase, you want to be established, right? Your whole behavior is to try to establish yourself by going against what it has already been established, right? Another point is that they're very distracted from themselves because of social media and the internet and this a saturation of information. They're they're distracted from themselves, right? This goes hand in hand with the first point I said about them not valuing themselves enough. It's only because they're distracted from themselves because of the overwhelm of entertainment and information. They also fear the future, right? This shows up in how they want to grow up so fast. I experienced this when I was younger as well, especially when I was in my 20s. I wanted to grow up so fast, and I didn't notice this until other people were telling me that, right? Um, there's this push with Gen Z where they want to grow up so fast. They want to be adults so fast. They want to be like the older generations so fast. So they skip the valuable lessons, they skip the hard lessons, and it only creates a chaotic 20s. The last point I wanted to emphasize is the addiction to be seen, the addiction of validation, the overvalue of fame, right? I don't think there's any other generation. When I say any other generation, I'm talking about the older generations, the previous generations, where there's this overvalue of fame. Now, me growing up, I'm a millennial. Fame to us was very out of touch. Most of us in our minds thought that we couldn't attain fame, right? But because of the internet and social media, there's this um, newfound thought that fame can be attained. So there's this overvalue of um, being famous is more important than anything. Being validated is more important than anything. Having the likes is more important than anything. And being seen and heard is more important than anything. So there is this, there's a lot of performing to belong, right? Instead of just living through authenticity, there's a lot of performing to belong instead of just living through authenticity, like I said. Next video, I will be going through the hidden shadow psyche of Gen Alpha.